Moving to Colorado has been pretty popular over the last decade. And specifically, people have explored areas like Colorado Springs, the greater Denver area, and Fort Collins or northern Colorado. Now in this video, we're going to talk specifically about moving to northern Colorado, the who, what, where, why, when, and how to move to northern Colorado in 2024. Now we are 2/3 of the way through 2024, but a lot of people are still moving here this fall and winter, but also making plans for 2025. So if you're watching this video in the fall or winter of 2024, now is the time to reach out. Now, my name is Patrick Soukup. This is the Living in Fort Collins YouTube channel, talking about Fort Collins, northern Colorado, all of that good stuff. Now, we are licensed real estate agents in the state of Colorado. So if you're considering a move, reach out to us, give us a call, text, or email. Now is a great time to start laying the foundation for a successful move in 2025 and beyond. But moving to northern Colorado in 2024, let's jump into today's video. Let's go. Now again, you've probably looked at, if you're considering moving to Colorado, Colorado Springs, maybe Grand Junction, the Western Slope, you've looked at Denver, the greater Denver area, and maybe you looked at Fort Collins and are exploring northern Colorado. You like the idea of kind of the quality of life, the Colorado State University that's here, the public school system, really the focus on outdoor living, maybe not as much population. Whatever the reason, you've narrowed your focus into Fort Collins. Now, if you are dead set on Fort Collins, that's done, that's it. No worries, let's just figure it out. We will move you to Fort Collins, my hometown, place where I have grown up, born and raised, and we'll make it rock. But let's just say you are exploring the area that Fort Collins is around, which is really northern Colorado, consisting of Larimer and Weld County, some of the bigger areas as we've talked about in previous videos, Fort Collins, Loveland, Greeley, Wellington, Windsor, Johnstown, Berthoud, Severance, Timnath, you name it. There's a lot of different cities in northern Colorado that really operate as kind of similar to the greater Denver area, northern Colorado. So northern Colorado is just this kind of economic chamber of cities that kind of work together in unison to a certain degree. Of course, we are all individual, unique municipalities, but in kind of unison and working together as a team, we've built this kind of northern Colorado area. So if you're looking at moving to Fort Collins in 2024, 2025, and beyond, well, maybe you're not necessarily dead set on Fort Collins. So today we are going to talk about different areas and why you might move to different areas within northern Colorado. Now we'll do some of this exploration call on a Zoom call or a phone call where, we'll ask you specific questions about, hey, is it Fort Collins? Is it northern Colorado? Do you have specific parameters? Is it school systems? Is it drive time? What is it that you are trying to accomplish with the moving to northern Colorado? And then from there, we can really dial in that 2 to 3 hour tour that we drive you around. That way, maybe we're just driving around Fort Collins, but maybe we're driving to Wellington, to LaPorte, Bellevue, Windsor, Timnath, south to Berthoud, or Loveland, Johnstown, that different area. We can take you on those different things if you're kind of open to the idea of northern Colorado and not necessarily specifically dead set on Fort Collins. But again, you can watch this video, answer some of these questions and really kind of narrow it in from there where you're wanting to move, or we can, like I said, jump on a Zoom call and ask those questions at that time. But the first question you have to ask yourself is, why are you moving to northern Colorado? Is it a job? Is it a lifestyle? Is it to be closer to family? And really from there, you can figure out if you want to work in Greeley because of your job, but you don't want to live in Greeley. So you're going to live in Windsor and commute to Greeley, like my sister. Or you want to be close to family. Maybe you can't necessarily afford to live in Fort Collins, but living in Windsor is kind of a great second option for you, and you're still only 15 to 20 minutes away. My sister lives in Windsor, more affordable for both of them. They're both teachers, and we live in Fort Collins. But it's an easy commute to go see, babysit, all that good stuff with our siblings and things of that nature. Is it a lifestyle? And are you focused on being on the northwest side of town because, hey, I want to go fishing up the Pooter, or I want to head up to Red Feather very quickly. I want to go mountain biking on Laurie State Park, or take the boat out on Horsetooth Reservoir. Or if you're going to live near Glade Reservoir, kind of in the new and up and coming Glade Reservoir, maybe you want to be close to Livermore and take and expose kind of more an affordable area that could be growing here in the near future. Those are conversations that we need to understand the why you're wanting to move and then kind of build a parameter around that. And then the when of when you are moving. Again, if you're watching this in the last third of the year in 2024, you might be moving in 2024, in which case we really need to push the pedal to the metal and get going. But if you're planning the move, then we should jump on a call and start scheduling and laying that, solid foundation for the move in 2025. But Fort Collins, Northern Colorado, Loveland, all of this area is very seasonal. We have 4 seasons, and moving during the middle of winter is never really any fun. Now you could have 12 inches of snow on the ground, or you could have 60-degree sun, and you can't necessarily predict that if you're scheduling your move 2-3 weeks out in advance. And so if you can coordinate the when of the move, both in tandem with if you're gonna rent or buy, you're gonna have your most options really between April and end of August for optionality for inventory, whether it is renting or buying. So that's really gonna be is when you're gonna move in 2024, 2025 and beyond. Fort Collins, Northern Colorado is very seasonal, both when it comes to the enjoyment of the move and also optionality of homes and areas that are available. This one was kind of fun, the who to move. And I actually just had a very good friend move back to the area, and I don't necessarily know if they're gonna lay down roots, but he's the owner of a moving company that we recommend to everybody who's moving to the area. But additionally, if you're moving from outside of the area, specifically outside of the state, maybe if you're within Denver, you could still use the same attorney, same insurance agent, all that good stuff. But if you're moving to the area, you're gonna wanna start building your team. So a dentist, lawyer, insurance, landscapers, cleaners, roofers, sidewalk, all of that good stuff. You're going to want to start to build your team. And one of the best first steps is, and while this is very self-serving, we are an asset to you and your team and it can help build some of those connections. And maybe you don't use them forever. Maybe you use a dermatologist that we recommend, but you don't necessarily fall in love with that dermatologist, but have another friend who's a dermatologist. Or we recommend a dentist, but you end up using another dentist. But you at least have a referral base to start with to build your team, to make it a successful move and relatively maybe not as exploratory of communications and relationships as it would be if you didn't have this type of relationship. So the who of the move is also important. You're gonna wanna start to build that foundation, and we can kind of do that as we move through that process. All right, now the how to move. Well, the how to move can come in a lot of different forms. Are you going to buy? Are you going to rent? If you're going to rent, are you gonna rent short-term versus long-term? Does that mean month to month? Does that mean 3 months? Does that mean 6 months? Is that a furnished rental like the Carousel Properties or Eco-Tenant, Airbnb, Mountain Time Vacation Rentals? Or are you gonna go do more long-term unfurnished so that you move your stuff in 1 year, 2 year, 3 year? And where to rent is important to know too, but we'll get to that here shortly. Or are you going to buy? And if you're gonna buy, how are you going to buy? Are you going to move to the area short term and buy while you're here? Are you going to do kind of weekend warrior or an extended stays to where when you're here, you're gonna hit the ground running, looking at lots of different properties? Or are you gonna buy virtually, where you buy the property sight unseen, but come for the inspection and or appraisal? Or are you gonna buy 100% virtually, where the first time you see the property is either at closing or maybe even weeks or months after closing? We have done it all. We have helped all clients, and we feel like we can really help coordinate what that comfort level is for each individual and have those kind of questions of what makes the most sense for you and yours and your systems and processes that will make this a successful move. But really, I think the most important part about this video specifically is the where to move. And that's where we're gonna spend a little bit more time on this video. We're talking already that you are moving to Northern Colorado. It's overcome Colorado Springs, the greater Denver area, the western slopes. So you are moving to Northern Colorado and you're open to the idea of areas outside of Fort Collins. Well, maybe one of the first things you should discuss is, do you wanna live in Larimer County or Weld County? Larimer County has a little bit higher of a sales tax, just barely 0.8% versus no county sales tax. Larimer County leans more politically blue, purple-ish, purple-blue, but probably more blue definitely as of late, but has its roots in conservative beliefs and values and all that kind of stuff with agriculture, all that good stuff. but it has its university, more progressive, liberal-minded kind of students at this time. And I would say it's shifted from red to purple to more blue. Whereas Weld County, oil, gas, pretty staunchly conservative, red community, but definitely pockets and areas where the cities and communities are growing and becoming a little bit more, I would say, blue. So not to get very political, but then if that is important to you, which I feel like it's important to a lot of people these days, something to consider. Larimer County more blue, Weld County more red. Larimer County seems to be more urban. Now there are parts, of course, of Larimer County, that Red Feather, Livermore, up to Wyoming, that is definitely gonna be more rural. Whereas Weld County, generally speaking, is all east of I-25, generally, and very much more rural than Larimer County. Now, the populations between Larimer and Weld County are definitely going to flip-flop, and we are going to see the population of Weld County actually supersede Larimer County here in the next 30 years. But between the two of them, we will exceed 1 million people between Larimer County and Weld County over the next 20 to 30 years. One of the next considerations is, do you want to live on the east side of I-25 or on the west side of I-25? The west side, you've got Berthoud, Loveland, Fort Collins, Wellington, parts of Wellington. And then on the east side, you've got Timnath, Windsor, Severance, Johnstown. And so you've got to make that decision. Do you want to live on the east side or west side of I-25? Some of these could be views related, as you're going to have a more panoramic view of the mountains versus the proximity and closeness to the mountains if you're living on the west side of I-25. Weather seems to be a little bit more severe, anecdotally speaking, on the east side of I-25 versus the west side. We almost kind of have this buffer, so the storms almost kind of like bounce over the west side of when you're along the foothills. Now we absolutely get hit with all different types of storms, wind, hail, snow, all that good stuff, but it just seems like the east side gets hit a little bit harder. But that being said, also the population is going to be a lot heavier along the Front Range on the west side than on the east side. Traffic is going to be something a little bit less on the east side of I-25 than on the west side of I-25. You're going to want to also discuss what school system that you want to be in, if it matters to you. Poudre School District, Thompson Valley School District, Weld County RE4, Weld County RE6. Those are going to be considerations that you want to explore and see what fits best for you and yours. Affordability. If you are going to be buying a house, Northern Colorado has definitely seen some significant appreciation, as has the rest of the country, over the last decade. But if you need to maybe have a little bit more of an affordable area and are willing to commute, that's something to consider versus, hey, lifestyle is very important to me. I want to walk out the back door, get onto a bike trail. I want to go to a park. And so, well, yeah, I'm going to pay a premium to live in an area like maybe Fort Collins or Loveland or one of those to where I don't want to be driving in my car, or I want to have a single car household. Here is a list of the most expensive to most affordable houses and areas in Northern Colorado. Timnath, and this is as of July 2024 for a single family residential detached house in Northern Colorado. Timnath, $657,500. Fort Collins, $640,000. Windsor, $615,000. Berthoud, $614,500. Johnstown, $540,000. Loveland, $526,000. Wellington, $465,000. Red Feather, $460,000. Greeley, $450,000. And Evans at $413,000. So you've got a gap of $413,000 to all the way up to about $660,000. So $250,000 separates some of the price points in Northern Colorado. So affordability is definitely a consideration in areas to buy. But what about future appreciation? Is there going to be an area that appreciates? So maybe you buy in an area that's more affordable, it has better future appreciation, or possibly you buy in an area that is more expensive, but you feel like the economics behind it are going to do quite well. Areas that we're excited about are Johnstown, Windsor, Severance, Greeley, and Berthoud. Fort Collins and Loveland seem to be pretty, well established. I do think that Loveland has an opportunity to exceed, to continue to grow, but they've got a lot of redevelopment and things of that nature. I like kind of a little bit more fresh laid areas like Windsor, Severance. I like Timnath. Timnath seems to be a little expensive, but you're going to start to see a lot of commercial come by way Johnstown has all of the commercial, and now the residential is going to start coming. So you will see some good stability as far as just across the board in northern Colorado with the future growth and population expectations. But I think those areas in specific, again, Johnstown, Berthoud, Windsor, Severance, and Greeley are some of the areas that could see good future growth with some baseline stability economics that I'm excited to watch into the future. Lifestyle is extremely important when you're moving to northern Colorado, and some people are going to commute to work but want to live in specific areas. So travel is going to be important. So you're going to want to take into consideration, are you going to want to be a part of the Fort Collins Country Club? And maybe you're willing to live in Wellington and commute to the north side of Fort Collins to go to the Fort Collins Country Club. Or you want to play golf at TPC Colorado and you need to live in Berthoud. Or you work for Chevron and you want to be on the east side of I-25 and specifically avoid Harmony Road at those busier times. So if you're going to be driving to DIA on a monthly basis, maybe you're closer to Johnstown, or you want to go up to Red Feather on a weekly basis and go fishing at Dowdy Lake, the northwest side of Fort Collins, or Livermore, or even Red Feather. And these are areas that you're going to want to consider whether you want to travel a little bit further or you want to have less travel. But travel considerations are definitely important because, like I said, we do see ourselves as kind of this big economic circle of northern Colorado, and you will have your kids in sports in maybe Windsor. You might have jiu-jitsu class in Loveland, or you go shopping at Costco in Timnath. So you are going to be in and around northern Colorado, heading out to Shields and Johnstown, getting haircuts at Johnstown, at Crossroads. So you are going to see the area, and you're going to want to know kind of where you're going to want to spend the most of your time. There are people in Fort Collins that they don't go south of Prospect. Their entire lives are north of Prospect Road. And there are people on the south side, like myself, for example. If I didn't work downtown, I probably wouldn't be going downtown nearly as often as I do. And in fact, my family and I, when we go out to eat on the weekdays or weekends, we find ourselves eating on the south side of Fort Collins. So build your life around kind of the area that you expect to travel. I was just having a conversation with a friend today that he truly believes that he lives on the west side of Fort Collins and his brother-in-law lives on the east side. And he thinks that his brother doesn't go to the mountains as often as he and his family because they're only 10 minutes away from maybe hitting the trailhead versus his brother-in-law, which is 25 minutes away. That they feel that extra 15 minutes might make the difference between going up to the reservoir or Horsetooth Trailhead for, whether it's once a month versus maybe 3 to 5 times a month. So the travel and distance within northern Colorado will be important and something to consider. Now, we just had the Alexander fire, and we've had other fires in my lifetime. In 2020, we had some pretty significant fires. In 2013, additionally, and then this year, we really got concerned when I walked out my front door and I saw a plume of smoke coming out, and I just watched, pretty, I would say, anxiously what this fire was going to do. And fortunately, it got, resolved, quickly, contained. I believe it has burnt than less than 10,000 acres, which is actually really not too bad. If that is something that's concerning to you, I would say stay out of the mountains specifically. It tends to be where, insurance is more expensive. I just bought a cabin in Red Feather, and it is definitely a lot more expensive in the mountain areas versus out. But if that's something that's concerned to you and hey, I'd rather commute and enjoy the mountains, not live in them, that is where we just don't like the idea of wildfires, all that good stuff, then stay out of kind of the Estes Park area, Red Feather, Masonville. I would just say in general, while it might not be a huge concern and the likelihood of something ever happening is probably relatively small, it's not zero. Whereas I do feel in Fort Collins, it really is pretty close to zero of having a significant fire in the area. We might see smoke and plumes and things of that nature, but especially as you get even further east of I-25, the likelihood of having a relatively significant fire is not there. So if that's a concern, I would say steer clear of those areas. And finally, one of the most important things of people, if why you're moving here is not job, is not family per se, but it is lifestyle. you're going to want to consider whether it's Larimer County or Weld County. Weld County is going to be a little bit more flat. You do have the Pawnee grasslands and things of that nature to go out there and explore. But the majority of your outdoor lifestyle recreation will be in Larimer County, whether that be in Loveland, Rocky Mountain National Park, Berthoud with its trail systems, Fort Collins with its trail systems, of course, Red Feather with all of its lakes, hiking and all that good stuff. So if you're considering and one of your big desires is outdoor lifestyle, you might find yourself on the west side of I-25, Larimer County, within those trail systems, and that's a focus. Now, that's not to be said. We've had plenty of people move to the east side of I-25 that are kayakers, boaters, rafters. One of my favorite families, they moved here from Virginia, and he said, I want to be on the east side of I-25 because I want panoramic views of the mountains. It's only 30 to 35 minutes to get to any type of trailhead that I care about. I can get on the bike and trail system here soon enough with the Poudre Trail system connecting. Kayaking, boating, rafting, fishing, all that good stuff is extremely close in proximity. And so he came from a perspective of travel. It takes 1 to 2 hours to get anywhere. So anything less than an hour is a win. So don't let being on the east side or in Weld County dissuade you if your desire is to have a lifestyle design choice, but the affordability maybe of a Severance or something along those lines versus maybe the housing cost of Fort Collins. Now that you've considered the who, what, how, why, and where you want to move to in Northern Colorado in 2024 and beyond, it might be a great opportunity to jump on a Zoom call and really dial in some of those questions and answer some of those things that you might be curious about. If you're considering a move, make sure you reach out to us. My team and I, we'd be happy to help. We believe we've become relatively experts in relocation and helping people move to the Northern Colorado area. If you've enjoyed this video, please consider subscribing. While it's not the most important thing by any means, it does tell me that, hey, you're watching and listening, and I appreciate that. Now, until next time, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Take care.